Several Spurs are nominated for the Basketball Hall of Fame, but who will get in?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey guys, this is Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia. It's morphin' time.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hey, hope everyone is doing well. And we're ready to get going here on Locked On Spurs. By the way, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day, free and available wherever you get podcasts. So what are we talking about today? Well, as you heard earlier, we are talking about the Hall of Fame. A trio, well, maybe 5 Spurs, if you want to be technical about it, are up for induction into the 2023 class basketball Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame. But who will get in? We're going to be focusing on Popovich, Becky Hammon, and Tony Parker. Yes, we know Michael Finley and Pau Gasol are in it, and we'll discuss them, kind of sprinkle them in as we talk. And also, it looks like our guest just wants to light a fire with Spurs fans again. And he wants to give praise, though, to a Spurs rookie. We're just going to leave it as that. He's back from Jamaica, well-rested, ready to go, itching to get back on the mic because he's still off because the star is off. Just going to welcome in Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star, host of Halftime with Michael Jimenez. Are you nice and tanned, Jimenez? You rested up? How was Jamaica?
Oh, Jamaica was wonderful. My wife and I enjoyed it. I drank a lot of rum, drank even more rum, and man, it was great times. And it was the best trip I've ever taken.
Are you missing the mic already? You've been away for already, like going on a week already?
Yeah, I'm itching, man. It's off the air for 18 days. And, I don't go back on until next week. And it's weird because, so much going on with the Spurs.
Right.
You have the Cowboys and Eagles game. And it's like, man, these are topics we'd want to talk about. So I'm kind of itching to go back out there and talk sports.
How are you surviving getting piled on almost now a daily basis? Your latest was going at CeeDee Lamb. And even people were warning you too, saying you're about to get, grilled for this take, saying he's not a top 10 wide receiver.
Okay, first of all, top 10 might have gone a little too far, but I do not believe at all that CeeDee Lamb is a top 5 wide receiver. Not even close.
Well, how about this? How would you save that for halftime? Because we can definitely go on a tangent about that. But yeah, make sure to follow Jimenez on Twitter at Mike ESPNSA. Do that right now. Let's go and dive into it. Jimenez here. The Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame announced the class of 2023, the list of nominees for induction to the Basketball Hall of Fame. And among them are several Spurs. As we mentioned earlier, there's Michael Finley and Pau Gasol. But we're going to be focusing on Popovich, first-time nominee, Tony Parker, first-time nominee, and Becky Hammon, multiple nominee. But let's start off with Popovich. Before we hit record button, I think we were trying to figure out if he's been nominated for the first time. Yes, he has been, but he's been eligible for quite some time. But he is a first-time nominee. Your thoughts on him getting in? Is he a first ballot coach getting in?
I mean, you would think so, right? I mean, He's one of the greatest of all time. I know that I do have my issues with the rebuild and things like that, but 5 championships, the most wins of all time in NBA history, the guy should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Because if he's not, then who is when it comes to coaching?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Popovich, in my opinion, he is. I think he is, of the 3, he is perhaps the strongest shoe-in to get into the basketball immortality that is out in Springfield, Massachusetts. Yeah, you look at him, winningest coach in NBA history, been with one team throughout his entire career, which started in the mid-90s. He did serve as a GM. He did serve now as a head coach. He also has an international record. He won gold medal with Team USA in the last Olympics. He's been on several Team USA staffs. So, yeah, he has the goods to get in. I don't think I'll be shocked if he does not get in, Jimenez. But interesting, though, as we said earlier, he's been eligible for quite some time, but now he's nominated for the first time. Ooh, are you thinking what I'm thinking? That this could be his swan song?
That would be a way to go, wouldn't it?
Oh, it'll be the greatest way to go. I mean, my goodness.
It would be the greatest way to go because, there's nothing else that he needs to accomplish in the end.
But this is it right here. This is the last thing right here.
Right. It is. He was the NBA Coach of the Year 3 times, for crying out loud. 5 championships, as you mentioned, the gold medal. He is one of the, if you have a Mount Rushmore of head coaches of the NBA, he's on there, along with Phil Jackson and maybe Pat Riley, right? Mm-hmm. But this would be a great way to end his career, and I think it signals that. I mean, isn't it foreshadowing? Because why? He could have made this Hall of Fame a long time ago, right? I kind of feel like he maybe squashed his own nomination. I don't know anything behind that or if there's any backstory to that, but I can see him riding off into the sunset this way.
I mean, this would be the perfect way for him to ride off this. And he's also getting in after the big 3 are in, because Parker is nominated. So let's just, for argument's sake, say that he does get in. We'll discuss his chances in just a bit. But if Parker and Pop get in, then that whole quartet of the Spurs dominance back in the late 90s throughout the 2000s are in. And another way for him to go out. The big 3 are retired and immortalized, and now he joins them. I mean, I think it'd be the perfect way to get in. And, the accolades just continue on and on. Internationally, he's seen as the greatest in basketball coach, period, in basketball history. You have, there's murals of him in Europe. There's murals of him in San Antonio. I mean, that's how much he's beloved throughout the basketball world. And you look at Popovich, the only knock, I would say, quote unquote, is that he never won back-to-back titles as an NBA head coach. I don't think that should hurt his chances of getting in, Jimenez.
Not at all. And whenever people debate whether or not the Spurs had a dynasty or not, I think it's one of the dumbest arguments to have when people say that it didn't exist. They won 3 titles in 5 years, right? Because of that, to me, that's a dynasty. Are you telling me that if you win 2, you're a dynasty, but if you win 3 out of 5, you're not? Makes absolutely no sense to me. But it's beyond a dynasty, because if you think about it, it was an era. Because to me, when I hear dynasty, I think of a 5-year run, a 6-year run. But this was an era that lasted over 20 years, where the Spurs were winning 50-plus games each year and were relevant and were in the title hunt. It's amazing because the Spurs got 5 rings. It could have been 8. It could have been 8 if it wasn't for point 4. If it wasn't for Ray Allen's shot, if it wasn't for Monty hacking on the and 1, it's very possible that the Spurs could have had 8. I am happy as a Spurs fan that we got 5, because growing up, I never thought the Spurs would ever win a title, because it just wasn't in us. It had never happened before, and the 99 happens, and it's the shortened season, and then it's kind of like, okay, we got one, but we got the shortened season one, and then 03 happens, and it kind of legitimizes everything, and it goes on and on and on, and I'm happy with the 5 rings and the run. And sometimes people complain about 2013 because they're like, how brutal that was, how it was a gut punch when Ray Allen made that 3, but it made 2014 so much sweeter. And so Gregg Popovich, is he the greatest head coach of all time? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, if you want to say that he is, I won't argue against it. But it's just so, we're so blessed as fans of the Spurs to have had him as part of this organization. It was very controversial, by the way, when he came in, because he kind of took the reins from Bob Hill, and Bob Hill was like, "Hey, I had injuries, man. Why are you getting rid of me?" Bob Hill is still salty about it 25 years later.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he still is.
But it was the right thing ultimately to do, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. Hindsight's 2020. Looking back, it was perhaps the best move for this organization moving forward. Yeah, I'm agree with you. I think Popovich gets in first time, first ballot. Yeah, he should be a lock. But we're not done talking about Spurs possibly getting into the Basketball Hall of Fame. When we get back, we're going to look at the chances for Becky Hammon. Yes, again for her. She's not a first-time ballot nominee. And also Tony Parker's chances of getting in a stacked, very stacked Hall of Fame class 2023. We're here with Michael Jimenez with Halftime with Michael Jimenez on the San Antonio Sports Radio dial. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at MikeESPNSA. But before we continue, we're going to talk about Rocket Money. Hey, you got to get Rocket Money right now. It's formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bill all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions that they forgot about, like that streaming service you bought and you just watched once or on that free trial and forgot to cancel it. That's where Rocket Money gets in. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as a click of a button. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. Hey, look, I use it. You know, I saw a trial that I was signed up for. I think it was some graphic website. Didn't use it, just used it once. And then Rocket Money alerted me saying, hey, you haven't used this in months? Yeah, cancel it. I clicked one button. It was over. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. That's rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. We're back with Michael Jimenez right here on Locked On Spurs. He is with the San Antonio Sports Star and host of Halftime with Michael Jimenez, as well as the thickest skin you'll ever find because he gets dragged so bad on social media. I think you just asked for it, Jimenez. I think you love it.
I do love it. You know why? Because as people mentioned to me on Christmas when they wished me Merry Christmas, they're like, hey, thank you for not taking anything personally. Because we're having fun talking sports, and I don't do a take because I am trying to get a reaction. I just think that some of my takes just piss people off, but that's just the way that I think. So that's what the most fun about it all is that, these are just takes that come off the top of my head, and it's not because I'm here in a lab trying to think about how do I piss Spurs fans off. It's just the way that I feel, man, and sometimes that rubs people the wrong way. But that's the greatest thing about sports is that sports is designed to be debated.
Well, you're about to piss off Spurs fans in a while in the last segment. I know it's coming. Yeah, because you already told me about it. Here we go again for Jimenez. Once again, follow him on Twitter at MikeESPNSA. We're talking about the Spurs that have been nominated for the Basketball Hall of Fame class 2023. We just finished talking about Popovich. We believe he is a shoe-in. Let's talk about the last two. And once again, yes, we're aware that Michael Finley and Pau Gasol are in the mix, former Spurs, but we're just have a focus on these three San Antonio Spurs players and coaches. Up next is Becky Hammon. Now, this is not her first go-around. She joked about it after she was alerted that she's been nominated again, and she laughed. She goes, well, this is like multiple times for me now. Made headways in the WNBA after she returned to her old stomping grounds, where she, learned the game. She became the head coach for the Las Vegas Aces, won the Coach of the Year in her first head coaching season with Las Vegas, took Las Vegas to the title, and let's not forget what she did in San Antonio, becoming an assistant coach, breaking barriers, winning the Summer League title back in mid-2000s. She's done so much for the game. And then her WNBA career is just reads in a resume that any basketball player would want. Multiple All-Star appearances, deep playoff runs. Yeah. Another shot at at making it in. Does Becky get in, Jimenez?
She doesn't yet. But she will. She doesn't yet. She will be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. I mean, her story is only half written. She's 45 years old and is now going off and becoming a head coach and executive. She, as you mentioned, won the WNBA title her first year as head coach and GM. The story is barely half written. It would be so weird to have her in the Hall of Fame already because they would have to update that plaque yearly Mm-hmm. She is going to be a Hall of Famer. If she decided to no longer be part of basketball, she would already be a Hall of Famer in the sense that she has the credentials to do so. But I think it's a little early. I think it's one of those things where we need to see things unfold a bit, and it would be better for her to wait a while because you would have so much more heft behind it. What if she becomes an NBA head coach? What if she accomplishes other things because she's already in the Hall of Fame? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But there are some people out there who make the Hall of Fame more than once. They sometimes go in as a player and as a coach. If they're going to induct her, I would want her to be inducted as a player, not so much as an executive or as a coach or the whole body of work, if you will. But she will one day be enshrined there in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Oh man, I think it's a close call again for her, just because how stacked it is. She was nominated last summer with the Manu Ginobili class, and they passed on her. And here we go again. I think, I think she gets in. I think she finally breaks it. I think what she did with the WNBA helps push her into that direction.
What's
that, Jimenez?
I would hope that she does not get in this year.
So you don't want her in? Okay.
No. I don't want her in. I don't want her in this year because she will be an afterthought this year if she does make the Hall of Fame. Go back in time. Okay, I'm taking a look right here of the list of the most stacked Hall of Fame classes of all time, according to Bleacher Report. They believe the most stacked one was back in 2009 when Michael Jordan, David Robinson, and John Stockton made it. And then they think the second greatest class was 2020 with Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant, yeah.
Remember that one right there? Tim Duncan, one of the greatest players of all time. My opinion, top 5 all time. He was overshadowed by the fact that Kobe Bryant got in. And Kobe Bryant got in posthumously after his death earlier in the year. And even if Kobe Bryant was alive, Tim Duncan was going to be overshadowed. You look at Manu Ginobili getting in. Manu Ginobili was head of the class.
Yeah, he was head of the class.
So it was all about Manu. And this year, or this upcoming year, 2023, might actually be the greatest class of all time when you just kind of take a look at it, because you're going to have a class with Nowitzki, you're going to have a class with Dwayne Wade, a class with Tony Parker, maybe a Chauncey Billups. I mean, there are a lot of stud players out there that are eligible in 2023, and it's very possible that all of them get in, and then you add a Gregg Popovich to the mix. It's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, if it's Becky Hammon's turn, wouldn't Becky Hammon be like an afterthought? Shouldn't she be celebrated in a greater way?
More of a focus on her.
Yeah.
Like a little bit more of a shine on her. I see what you're saying. I get it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be close for her. I think it's going to be razor thin because of how stacked this class is. And you mentioned, some of the greatest stacked classes just right now. I mean, this one could go up there too. This one could really, really push top 5 considering who's involved. Pau Gasol, Parker, Pop, Billups. The list goes on and on. But yeah, I think this is another close call for Becky. Last year, I think she was passed over for Whalen, and Whalen got in over her. So
you take a look at the international class. This might be the greatest international class of all time. If you
for sure. Yeah,
Pau Gasol, Parker.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Tony Parker, let's go to dive into him now. First time nominee. You would think that he could be a lock and should be a lock, but I don't want to say he's not a lock, but it's more of an interesting thing if he doesn't get in because of how his other classmates. Tony Parker, multiple All-Star with the NBA, 4 NBA titles with the San Antonio Spurs. A Finals MVP back in 2007, 6-time All-Star teams and 4 All-NBA squads. what he did for France, winning a medal in the Olympics and ushering in the French, wave of players into the NBA. But Jimenez, there's Dirk, there's Dwayne Wade, there's Pau Gasol, there's Chauncey Billups. Is it really a lock for Tony to get in?
It's a 100% certainty that he's getting in. Dude Perfect. Is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Just on the NBA side, he gets in. But you add on the fact of the things that he did in Europe, you add the Olympics, you add everything that he's done. Finals MVP. On top of that, he ushered in the shot of the teardrop.
Yep.
Right? So if Manu was the Euro step, Tony Parker was the teardrop. And they always say, that you're a first ballot Hall of Famer if you cannot tell the story of the game without you. And you cannot tell the story of the NBA without Tony Parker. And it so angers me, it pisses me off that he was not part of the NBA 75.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
That pissed me off. And I remember last week I posted a tweet where I kind of said, I wasn't a big fan of Dennis Rodman growing up, and I thought he was overrated. Dennis Rodman making that list and Tony Parker not was insulting. Absolutely insulting. Tony Parker, it's funny because I wrote a column on SASportsStar.com early in the year when I was talking about the fact that I believe that Tony Parker is a greater point guard than Chris Paul. Chris Paul has all the accolades, all the awards, and all the better stats when it comes to playing in the regular season. But in the postseason, more often than not, he fails. And Parker was different, man. Parker could have gone out there, just like Manu. He said Manu could have averaged 25 points per game if a team wanted to average that. Parker could have been a 22-11 guy. It wasn't needed. It just wasn't needed. And for those who say that, oh my goodness, Chris Paul is obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer. Well, if Chris Paul is obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer and he has 0 rings, what exactly does that make Tony Parker? Because Tony Parker has had
a Hall of Famer then. Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Parker has had a better career, and Tony Parker, when it mattered the most in the playoffs, was clutch. Now, again, early in his career, Speedy Claxton came in because the dude was 19 years old, 20 years old, and had a hard time his first time around in 2003 or 2000 or whatever year that was. That I believe it was that year. But you take a look at what Parker was able to do once he got his footing and once he became more confident in his shot selection, more confident in distributing the ball. I mean, Tony Parker is one of the greatest point guards of all time. And I think from a peer standpoint, maybe not a fan standpoint, that's the case because, San Antonio is a small market, yada, yada. But when it comes to the peers, I bet you other point guards in the NBA would say the same thing about Tony Parker. The same way that they say the thing about Manu Ginobili. If you ever heard Kobe Bryant talk about Manu, they were
he gushes over him.
Yeah, they were respected by their peers. But it's so funny that Tony Parker sometimes gets overlooked, and I think his career is absolutely amazing. 4-time NBA champion, 2003, 5, 7, and 14. Finals MVP in 2007. 6-time All-Star. 4 rings. Finals MVP.
Yeah,
dude's first ballot Hall of Famer, man. All day, every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree that he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and. But you look at the other players involved, your Chauncey Billups, former Spur Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol, I think, gets in. He's a lock. I think he's definitely a lock. He's in. But if you look at Pau's and Tony's careers, I think Pau won 2 titles, I believe, back-to-back with the Lakers.
And he won with them.
Yeah. And then Parker has 4. Pau Gasol does not have a finals MVP. I think he does.
The one that's like the big name that might be on the outside end is Chauncey Billups. Billups
I can see that.
Hall of Fame at some point. He will be in the Hall of Fame at some point. He led a very starless team to an NBA title, in the early 2000s. But there's so much traffic ahead of him with the names of Wade, and Nowitzki and Parker and Gasol, he might be the odd man looking, outside looking in. But I wouldn't mind if Chauncey gets in because he does deserve it.
Yeah, and then Dirk, obviously a lock. There's no doubt about that. Dirk's in, whatnot. And then, there's Michael Finley. I think he might be outside looking in, former Spur. But yeah, a stacked basketball Hall of Fame class 2023. It looks like, perhaps, 3 Spurs might get in. And we'll including Powell. So, we'll say 4, 1X, but yeah, stack class. And it's going to be interesting though. I'm more focused on the Popovich thing. That one I find the most interesting just because he has been eligible for years now. And finally he's down. Interesting. We're not done talking. When we get back, we're going to shift gears now and brace yourself, everybody. Jimenez is going to glow, brag, give the spotlight in a good way to a Spurs rookie. Is it Sochan? Is Jimenez finally going to do it and give credit where credit is due? We'll find out in just a few seconds right here on Locked On Spurs with Michael Jimenez of San Antonio Sports Star. But before we do that, I want to bring to you a message from the NHTSA. Look, drive sober or get pulled over. You're hanging out with some friends. You're putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. Well, you know how that goes. The evening comes to an end and people start to head out. You think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. You can make it home. It's no big deal. What are the odds you get pulled over? What are the worst that could happen? Insurance goes up. Lose your license, lose your job, total your car, kill someone. Don't go down that road. Everyone knows about the risk of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe, plan ahead, get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. We're back with Michael Jimenez right here on Locked On Spurs. He is with San Antonio Sports Star and the host of Halftime with Mike Jimenez. So Michael Jimenez has been very, very tough on Jeremy Sochan, the number 9 pick for the San Antonio Spurs last season. Jimenez is not shy to call him out when it comes to his 3-point shot or being compared to Dennis Rodman. So is this the moment where Jimenez turns things around and is going to give shine to a Spurs rookie named Jeremy Sochan? Jimenez, take it away.
It's difficult being a rookie. I mean, you're getting to learn the game. It's got
the setup already.
It's a faster paced game, and it takes a certain style of play. It takes a certain skill set to be very good early on. And I know a lot of Spurs fans have fallen in love with Jeremy Sochan, and I haven't. It's just it hasn't yet. From what I understand, Pop is going to take Sochan to main event, do Pop a shot to try to improve his 1 point. But that's a bad joke. I'm so sorry. But no, it's funny because I have fallen in love with a rookie on this team, and it's been over the course of the last 2 weeks. Welcome to the team, Malachi Branham. Oh my God, dude! Against the Jazz, he blew up, man. 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because it's a skill set that transferred over very well. And he's only played about 20 games or so. He had some injuries early on. He missed part of summer camp. When the Spurs got him out of Ohio State, it was one of those things where he was projected to be a top 15, 16 pick around there. Spurs got him at 20. I'm looking at what he's doing right now, and I made the comment. We have a group text among all of those at San Antonio Sports Star, Rob and Rudy, Jason and Joe, James Pledger. And I said, hey, man, the Spurs really have a really good rookie on the roster, man. I said, dare I say that their best rookie might not be named Jeremy Sochan? And they all blew up at me. And they were like,
shocking.
Come on, Jimenez. They're like, don't do this right now. We're on vacation. Quit it with the hot takes. But look at his stats the last 5 games, averaging 13 points per game. on 65.6% shooting. And that's not a small sample size. 23 out of 35, 9 out of 16 from the three-point arc. He was a 42% shooter from three in college. It started slow because that happens. There's a dip that happens when you become a rookie and you're trying to get used to the NBA arenas and the NBA defenses and the new offense and the traveling and all that stuff. It's different. But man, he is catching his stride. He looks so silky smooth out there, sidestepping the defense and getting his shot. The shot selection's right. And I'm looking at him play more and more. And it's like everyone's focusing on the green hair and they get all enamored by him. And I'm looking more and more at Brian. I'm going, that guy right there plays 2023 basketball.
Popovich said after the win over the Jazz that Branham is an old school type player, but in a good way. And Vassell gave Branham a shout out during his press conference, saying that he started off a little slow. I think he said Vassell was like, it was maybe a little nervous, but he broke out of that. And he's taking advantage of the minutes. Go figure, Jimenez. Give rookies NBA minutes and their development track spikes. And that's exactly what the Spurs are looking for in the rebuild. Yeah, Brandon's been looking good. He's made a 3-point shot, one or more, in the last 6 games straight. We don't know about the last game versus the Thunder, but heading into that game versus the Thunder, 6 games straight of a 3-point shot or more. So he's making them from outside. He's making them from the mid range. I joked, but I think he is everything that James Anderson should have been, huh?
I guess I understand what you're saying about James Anderson, though he was taken later in the draft, so he wasn't as highly thought of entering the draft. But I'm so excited now because Spurs had 3 first-round draft picks. You had Sohan, you had Branham, and you had Blake Wesley, right? And the hope was, dude, one of them needs to be a stud. The other one needs to be a role player, and then we have one to spare in case it doesn't work out. And Blake Wesley looked good before he got hurt. I mean, he looked like he had some talent there. So, so I'm not going to hold out against him on that. I think that there's still something there. But now seeing what Branham can do, so if you guys want to get excited about Jeremy, great, have at it. Okay, I'm going to focus on Malachi, because what I saw him doing out there against the Jazz, and what I'm seeing him do a little bit more as he's getting his confidence out there, is I'm showing a skill set that has translated from the college ranks, from Big Ten basketball to the NBA, because shooters can shoot. There's a guy, again, 42% three-point shooter in college. That means he could knock down threes, and he's showing that he can knock them down. But the most impressive thing, especially that game against the Jazz, was the fact that he was sliding over away from the defense. Very veteran move. He also, caught Keldon Johnson streaking towards the basket. He does need to improve his passing a bit. But I just saw his shot selection, and I thought to myself, this is a guy who gets it. This is a guy who understands the game and actually could be a very, very big part of this team in the future. That got me excited. And in a weird way, got me more excited about Jeremy Sohan as well, because now there's 2. I now have more hope, because I don't know if Jeremy's game is going to translate all in all, if he's just going to be a defensive guy. But dude, Malachi, man, I was
I know.
So impressed.
Yeah.
So impressed.
Yeah.
You guys can have fun with Jeremy Sohan and go follow the green hair all around. I looked more at Malachi Branham, and I thought to myself, that's a guy right there that is playing modern basketball. He may be a throwback. He may be a Joe Dumars type. He could pick it up defensively. Offensively, he kind of looks that way to me. I'm that old. But man, I liked what I saw, man. And
yeah, he's been playing really good. The numbers are there, getting the minutes, taking advantage of the time, becoming a viable threat for the Spurs off that bench in the last few games. We'll see what he develops. Now, it is a very small sample size where he's getting better, but you like the trajectory. But Jimenez, of course you would quote, lose your cell phone, end quote, when someone has that game of his early career, 20 plus points, knocking threes down defensively. Of course, Jimenez will be nowhere to be found for that game.
Yes, it's so funny because people were laughing about that on Twitter, but some of them came to my defense and said, "Man, I've been there, man. I've broken a phone on vacation before too." My wife was taking a photo. She was on a water hammock, the hammock that just was above the water, and I'm standing right next to her. And a photographer from the resort comes by and says, "I'll take a picture of you and your wife." And I stood right by her. And after a couple of shots, he goes, "You know what? It'd be better if you were closer to her. Kneel down." So I knelt down to take a photo with her, and my phone got full of sand. It wasn't the water;
Yikes.
It was the sand that got in.
Oh, the sand. Okay.
And ultimately, I got a new phone, but I was out of pocket for about 72 hours. And I get home, and my daughter's like, "Dude, they're flaming you on Twitter, man. They're just blasting you on Twitter." And she goes, "It looks so bad because you're not responding, like you've gone into hiding." And but yeah, my daughter, who's 19 years old, was thinking about her dad because
getting destroyed. Yeah. Yeah, it was all fun and games, though. That's what I always say this every time Jimenez is on. The one thing I love about Jimenez that he's a good sport about everything. Jimenez always riling up the fan base, whether it's Cowboys, Spurs, UTSA. My goodness, you're a menace, Jimenez. You're a menace. You're a menace. Jimenez, why don't you talk to us about the Sports Star? We know you guys are on hiatus right now, but what can we look forward to?
I buried the lead.
You did?
Yeah, rest in peace, halftime.
What?
Halftime is no more. Yeah.
Okay, it's not April Fool's yet, Jimenez. What's going on?
Not April Fool's. I buried the lead. Yeah. So found out that halftime is no more. And so there's going to be changes going on to the station that are both that I think are very positive. So that's a good thing. We're going to be making some announcements over the course of the next 4 or 5 days as to what's going to be going on at the station. But the phrase halftime is no more. That doesn't mean I'm gone. You haven't gotten rid of me. But there are some changes being done, and there's a rumor out there that you might be hearing more of me, not less, but more of me. But we're up details, and a formal announcement will be made by the station in the next couple of days leading up to when we come back, which I believe we come back on Tuesday.
Do we give you the applause now, or we wait till the official announcement?
Let's wait till the official announcement.
Okay.
Because it's still all up in the air a little bit, but on my end, it's positive. So, from what I understand, it's positive. I was in Jamaica for a good week or so. So now that I'm back, and we're out. Well, we had talked about before leaving on vacation, going on hiatus, but there are changes being made at San Antonio Sports Star that I think people are going to enjoy. And anytime you get more local radio, it's a good thing. And that's what it looks like.
Well, a preemptive congratulations, Jimenez. But we can't wait to find out officially what is going on with you and halftime. And make sure to follow Jimenez on Twitter at MikeESPNSA and stay tuned to hear what he has to say about his show moving forward when he gets back. And thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. And subscribe to Locked On Sports. That's your second listen for today. Also available everywhere you get podcasts. And don't forget, Locked On Spurs also on YouTube and the Kens 5 Plus app. So for Michael Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.